radio video. Boogie with a suitcase. Living in a disco. Forget about the rat race. Guten Tag. Looking super handsome. Oh boy. Well, that was the idea. The idea was to handsome it up a bit. Banana? Bonana? A good weekend? Well, it's still the weekend, right? It's Sunday?
Yeah, it's Sunday.
The weekend ain't over yet. Butter pecan. Butter pecan? What do you mean butter pecan? What do you think about the Texas THC ban? Bro, if there was an AI that could search through all the thousands of hours of streaming, you would find me probably like 6 years ago talking about how Texas would be the last state in the union to fully legalize pot, and I was right. Texas, like most places, even places that typically were hardline anti-weed laws, are moving slowly but surely towards legalization. All of them, almost, except Texas. I can't think of another state that's like doubling down on, weed illegality. Heard that Texas banned anime recently. Anime? I didn't hear about that. You ain't chipped in. If you ain't chipped in, don't be asking for a pass. You know how that works.
Do you have any eddies left or no?
Yeah.
Here, you want me to get you some or no?
I've got like a whole bag that I haven't opened yet.
I meant like for now since you don't want to have a couple puffs.
Oh yeah, I have some down there. Buster. Yeah. Well, that was a little quarter of a joint that was infused, and those are always harsh. Harsh as fuck. But now I'm high. You see how that works? Yeah, the Doomer shirt. Pretty based. It's the Crunchberry Doomer, of course. The best Doomer is the Crunchberry Doomer. Do you like sativa or indica? Yes. Yes, I do. Wanna be my date to Pride? Sure. Let's go. Yeah. Pride is pretty based. Oh, thank you, baby.
Do a little something while you're waiting.
I know, Pride is based. I'll go to Pride with you. Where are we going? Which Pride? This guy does not listen. You're right. I don't. I used to get in trouble for that in school. My mom had a thing with my teachers for a while, like when I was in middle school, going into high school. She'd go to that open house thing where you meet the teachers, right? And they would say, well, Paul doesn't apply himself. Paul doesn't pay attention in class. Paul's talkative in class. And then my mom, whatever they started in on that, my mom would ask, what grade is he getting? And they'd say, an A. It's like,
I wanted to train you for the workforce.
yeah. Be obedient, be a quiet little bitch. Be an obedient, quiet little bitch that doesn't ask questions, that never causes problems, never disrupts.
It's the same kind of view in like the workplace. Like doing your job isn't enough. They want you to do more than your job.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to get along with all your coworkers and go above and beyond and yada 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 yada.
Have all kinds of enthusiasm and shit like that.
In certain environments, you're way more likely to get fired just because you don't vibe with the right people than not doing your job.
Yeah. You know, by the time I was in high school, I think a lot of teachers had left behind that kind of old disciplinarian way of teaching and acting and being, right? But there were a couple. There were a couple left that, like, for what it was worth, I'm sure they had other kids that they were targeting too, but it feels like I was kind of like the target of their displeasure with the current generation, all right? And it's one of the things that always pops into my head when I'm ragging on the younger generation is like, I want to make sure that if I'm ragging on the younger generation, it's not because I'm angry they're not like me, right? Because that seems to be, you know, a lot of the teachers that kind of treated me like shit, even though I aced their class, right? A lot of those teachers had this idea that I was supposed to be clean cut, quiet, obedient, diligent. I was supposed to do things exactly how they said it. You know, never assert myself, never ask questions, never attempt to test the waters of the rules. You know, none of that, right? Don't do any of that shit. Sit, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. Turn in your homework early and often. Use your lab time to the benefit of your thesis, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I did none of that, right? I fucked around in lab, fucked around in the library. I waited until the last minute to do everything because that's the way I work. That's how I work. I'm a red light performer. I do better when there's a time crunch. You see. I'm 58 and school just wasn't meant to be. Had to quit to take care of my mom that was dying from alcohol. I never went back. Well, that's harsh, but I have to tell you, I don't think you missed out on a whole lot. I mean, socially you did, but school hasn't been all that informative about the real world, and I don't know, maybe ever, but certainly not when I was a kid.
Well, it teaches you those office politics I was talking
Right.
about.
I mean, it's the George Carlin bit, right, where he says they don't want independent thinkers to be, smart, brilliant, trailblazing independent thinkers coming out of the school system. They want obedient workers. They want people who are willing to take a job that they hate, do what they're told, and shut the fuck up about it. Was a lot of that because more people were in the military back then. Oh yeah, the military was pushed way harder when I was a kid than it is now, and way harder still when my parents were children than it is now.
I mean, they're still pushing. They're still sending recruiters out.
It's just quieter now.
Yeah.
It's quieter because there's a sentiment in this country that is pretty starkly anti-war.
Mm-hmm.
People don't want, by and large, I'm not saying everybody, but most of the electorate does not want American boots on the ground. They don't want flag draped American coffins coming back from overseas. And as a result of that, see, shit used to be different, right? World War One, World War Two, these were different eras.
That was considered like a prideful way to go.
Well, I mean, especially World War Two.
Yeah.
World War Two,
it was a moral war.
It was a moral war because they attacked us first. They blew up Pearl Harbor.
And they were evil. They
didn't even really
genocide.
They started to sell it on that and stuff, but it really was America's involvement was last minute because of Japan.
Yeah.
All the way, Hitler was killing Jews for quite some time before America felt moved. And they didn't feel moved to save the Jews. They felt moved
to get revenge on Japan.
To obliterate Japan and Germany for daring to bomb our home soil.
And they were getting in the way of our trade too. We're having to sneak shit.
Yeah. They were fucking. They were fucking with our pockets. They were sinking American transport ships and sinking British transport ships that were loaded with American goods already purchased. That wasn't going to keep going. But you see, like, most people in this country now, it's one of the positive things that I see in a country that has been almost completely and utterly just hoodwinked by the political system, is that there are a goodly amount of anti-war people.
For various reasons. Like,
yeah.
Some people
that I don't care why.
Like a purely like financial thing. Like,
I don't care why.
Waste our money on foreign wars.
For some people, it's a religious exemption thing. They think it's ungodly to do it. For some people, they think they just don't want it. They just don't believe that America is the world's police. For some people, it's a regional thing. They just don't want to commit troops to the Middle East because they don't think it's worth it. I don't care why, right? But if you take the temperature of America right now, it's not pro-war.
Well, that's exactly why Tucker Carlson did that interview with Ted Cruz.
Right.
Because he's a populist at heart, and that was a populist thing for him to do, was to challenge Ted Cruz on the Iran shit.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. No, I don't know. One of those things.
A cynical.
The worst person you know was right about something type of deal. It's and like you said, it's cynical coming from Tucker, because Tucker takes his marching orders from.
Yeah. Well, Piers Morgan grilled Tucker the same way Tucker grilled Ted Cruz about Israel.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So
One of them things.
Decker's a total hypocrite because he's but
There's an assload of MAGA people kind of like flooding onto social media now saying like, I regret voting for Donald Trump. The only reason I did was because he promised no new wars. He promised this, like this was a big red line for a lot of these MAGA people. And you got to keep in mind, right? These are people that are willing to vote for Donald Trump that ostensibly have the same view on American involvement in further warfare that I do, and that a lot of you do.
Yeah. Well, it was like, it's you can see the logic of like, yeah, there was less war last time Trump was president. I don't know if he was the cause of less war, but there was just less war.
Well, that was the one thing that he could say that he did.
Yeah.
Right? He could say, I promised no new wars in my administration. Now, let's be honest. He kept Obama's military operations rolling.
Yeah.
Kept drone striking, right? So, but no new wars.
Yeah.
He could claim that. Now he can't. All right. MAGA Civil War. There really is one, yeah. Then there are like marching orders going out to pro MAGA people. You can track on Twitter certain phrases, and people are just like, you can tell that they're getting shit from the RNC. They're like, if you're not MAGA now because Trump destroyed some nuclear facilities, you were never MAGA. And that has been posted. Some permutation of that has been posted like 7,000 times to Twitter in the last hour. So, you know what I mean? It's they're bleeding support. Trump is pissing people off. He's fucked with their 401ks a couple of months ago. Fucked with their investments. Monkey fucked the economy. A lot of them stood by him through that. Now he's gone back on his promise. No American boots on the ground. No American involvement in foreign wars. You know what I mean? And there's just nowhere left for them to go.
No peace in Ukraine and Russia.
Right. No peace. He promised that would happen day one. No peace process. That's actually gotten worse under him. Russia has ramped up its bombing campaigns, and Ukraine has ramped up its counter bombing campaigns. But you ain't pro-Democrat. Where are you? I'm with the rest of America that isn't Republican or Democrat in terms of moral outlook. Right?
He posted something earlier today about Kamala saying Iran was America's enemy number one.
It's like a lot of people are laboring under the misapprehension that this war with Iran was on the ballot. Right? Like, we could have voted for Kamala and she wouldn't have done this. But she straight out said pretty unequivocally that she would. She said Iran was the number one enemy of America. It had American blood all over its hands. And when asked whether she would commit military to stopping their nuclear program, she said she wasn't willing to speculate on hypotheticals.
And did the same line as Netanyahu, basically.
Right.
They're right on the verge of doing it, basically.
Right. And remember, what we found out post-election, there was no daylight between her position and Biden. So this was never on the goddamn ballot. We were going to war with Iran. They had been both sides had been grousing for it for about 10 years, 20 years. And now it's time. So you would have voted for no. I didn't. I didn't vote.
She didn't have a difference.
I just said there's no daylight between her and Trump on Iran.
No daylight between her and Biden on Iran, so she wasn't an improvement over Biden besides being younger and less demented.
Yep. Why is America doing this? Follow the dollar. Watch the cash. Watch the influence. Watch the global positioning and watch the cash. Watch the Hormuz Strait. Watch the ocean of oil under Iran. That's what it is. In fact, that's why a lot of people were posting in like right wing people who are trying to hold on to Trump, right? We're posting these pictures of Iran from back in the 80s or the 70s, right? When women were wearing or shorts and skirts and low cut tops and
Well, probably skirts too, honestly.
probably in the 70s, right? They're posting all these pictures and they're like, look at what Iran could be. And it's like, look at what Iran was before we deposed their democratically elected prime minister, Mohammad Mossadegh, whose sin, by the way, the reason he got deposed was because he was in the process of nationalizing the Iranian oil fields that were controlled largely at that time by British petroleum interests.
Yeah, because there was this huge socialist, communist movement in the Middle East around that time.
Right. And so the United States backed a coup against the democratically elected prime minister of Iran, Mohammad Mossadegh, and they replaced him with the absolutely brutal royalist dictator Reza Pahlavi. And Reza Pahlavi immediately created secret police, started investigating and disappearing his citizens, started frittering away the national wealth of Iran, buying opulent palaces and cars and jets and throwing huge international parties, right? And he opened the door to a guy named Khomeini, right? He opened the door to religious fundamentalism in the form of a revolution. And that is why Iran fucking sucks now. It's all America's doing. America's monkeying because we thought we owned the oil underneath Iranian feet. That was our oil that Mohammad Mossadegh was trying to nationalize for his people and for the benefit of Iranian people.
And the Arab world. No, there was this movement to create this Arab coalition, almost like the EU.
Yeah. That had to be stopped.
And Gaddafi was another one that was a socialist wanting to create this Arab League or whatever.
Yep.
What's his name? The Iraq leader.
Saddam.
Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah. This isn't, see, like, yeah, it's not a cleanup. This isn't America cleaning up its own mess. This is America ensuring its continued geopolitical domination over an ocean of oil under the Middle East. That's all it is. There's no, like, you can take all of this, oh, the freedom of the Iranian people, oh, the nuclear threat, all of that shit is bullshit. They've been saying Iran was a week from getting a nuke for literally 25 years. It's bullshit. They don't care about the people that live there. They don't care about the nukes. They know that's bullshit, right? What they care about is the ocean of oil underneath that country and them having complete access to it for cheap. That's it. That's what it's about. That's what it's always been about. That's what it'll always be about.
Israel has to be defended at all costs because they're their ally in that region.
Right. Right. And to a certain extent, Skanko, Rizlich, you're right. You get no health care. You get no free education. You get no safety and security here. You get no decent job. You get no social safety net so that Israel can bomb these places. A huge chunk of your tax money goes to bombs and support for a country that keeps starting fights with all of its neighbors. Stop complaining and get a job. Complaining is my job, bitch boy.
I'm paying the bills, complaining for over a decade.
I pay every one of my bills complaining. So why don't you suck my dick? How about that? Since we're passing out fucking edicts, there's mine. I think the chances that Iran has been stockpiling 0.0. And in fact, this is just known. Iran was complying with the IAEA all the way up until Trump fucking nuked the nuclear deal. All of the spy agencies that have come out with public information about this, that have any knowledge about the subject, say that Iran is fucking years and years and years and years away, and that they're currently not even working on it. They're not making weapons grade uranium in Natanz. They're making uranium for nuclear power facilities. And this is just the truth. This has been the truth for over 20 years now. And if you go, like the fucking Daily Show just did a supercut of Bibi Netanyahu for the last 20 years saying Iran was a week away from getting a missile. They still don't have it. Every piece of information that we have says that they're not working on it. There was a story that came out today. I can't remember in what newspaper that said that there was no evidence-based intel that led Trump to do these strikes. Like it was just vibes. Like basically there was no intel that came across Trump's desk that said like they're making a nuke here. He just did it anyway. Because Israel wants it done. What do you think the chances are that Israel's got a fucking folder like that of compromise on Trump?
Well, on every major political
But on Trump.
position. Yeah, on Trump too.
Let's talk about Trump right now.
Yeah.
Folder like that of pictures with Trump, Epstein, getting hot oil massages, PP tapes, that thick. FBI guy said on Rogan that Epstein offed himself. I believe them. The FBI would never lie. The CIA certainly would never, ever lie about anything. None of the alphabet agencies really have ever been caught lying.
I forget, was there evidence that he had connections to Mossad?
Who?
Epstein.
I think so, yeah. Or there's scuttlebutt about it at the very least. I don't know what evidence there could be. But that he might have been a Mossad asset. I mean, this idea of compromat, right, it's something that every government engages in. Every government. You have to, right? I think it's the fact that Iran have reached 60% uranium enrichment. You only need 3% for nuclear power. I don't know the veracity of any of the numbers that you're talking about. Like, I have not heard any of that, right? So I would treat any claims of that with supreme skepticism. Because for 20 years, they've been just days from a giant nuclear missile. And they still don't have one. So you might want to treat a little skeptically any claims to the contrary.
Yeah, and like by comparison, fucking dilapidated, broke North Korea figured it out.
Yeah.
And Iran is not that.
No.
They still haven't done it.
No. Remember, this is not a brand new claim that there is a Middle Eastern country dotted with secret nuclear weapons. This is not a brand new claim. This is a claim that's been made before. Turned out to be complete and utter fantasy bullshit. What do you think about that? Makes a guy wonder, doesn't it?
I'm getting some crystals.
Hmm?
You getting some crystals?
Yeah.
Do you need more stuff for that too, or no?
No, I've still got a bottle I haven't even opened. Doing good.
You got that extra coil if you need it or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've changed them 3 times now. I've still got 3 left. This impeachment shit is just a dog and pony show. There will be no impeachment of Donald Trump. It's a dog and pony show.
You think even if the MAGA Civil War fucking escalates, they couldn't get enough Republicans to do it?
They have already failed to impeach this guy 3 fucking times or whatever. It just ain't happening.
The little this never happened in history.
The little boy has cried wolf too many times now.
Yeah.
The little boy cried wolf way too many times. AOC spoiling for a Trump impeachment is just her positioning herself as the anti-Trump. She's the not Trump candidate next time around.
Do you think it's between her and Gavin Newsom?
I don't even think she's in the running.
No, you think?
I think they will scuttle her ass, and I think it's Gavin Newsom.
Or do you think she's just on the Pelosi path?
Yeah, I think she's just on the Pelosi path. She's just. I mean, I think she thinks that there's a possibility that she charts somewhere. Mm-hmm. I think there's a possibility that she primaries in the upcoming election. As much as I hate talking about that,
yeah,
because it's so fucking far in the future and it's pointless. But I don't think that she has a snowball's chance in hell of being an actual candidate. They will scuttle her candidacy. She might be like a Veep or get like a cabinet nod or whatever, but she's not. She's not going to save us.
Yeah. Did Pelosi ever have aspirations beyond the Speaker of the House, or did she realize that that was her best shot? Like, she never ran for president or anything, Pelosi?
As far as I remember, no.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what her... I have a feeling she just likes the money-making potential of her current position. She gets all the meetings and all of the committees and all the scuttlebutt, and she gets to make really informed bets on the market.
She was technically, like, what, 3rd in line? If something had happened.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's 3rd or 4th. I think it is 3rd, because it's president, vice president, Speaker of the House, pro tem of the Senate, something like that.
Yeah. And then, like, all the secretaries in whatever order. I can't remember.
Yeah. Not sure if it's a filter or YouTube deleting my comments, but every time I try and even comment on this discussion, it gets deleted. That's wild. And you've got a wrench too. Yeah, who knows? I'll tell you this, man. This environment is not conducive to having actual conversations about what's going on in the world. I'll tell you that much. I'm so glad I'm not a Democrat. That would be the worst. Brain broken, bro. Absolutely brain broken. Blue versus red. Useful idiot. How's it feel to be a useful idiot? How's it feel to be a dude that thinks he's smart and runs around and does propaganda work for the fucking uniparty? How does that feel? I've always wondered. Unpaid propaganda work for the Uniparty. Blue versus red, the boopity booty doo, doodly doody doo. How does it feel? How does it feel to be a useful moron? Doing unpaid shill work for the very people that are picking your pocket. How does that feel? How does that glory hole feel from last night? Good, because your mom was on the other side of it. And she always gives a good polish. You know what I'm talking about. I know you know what I'm talking about.
That sound good for me to get for you today?
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. You can get me one of those and just tell them to pick me out like 5 blunts or whatever if you want.
Okay.
Or you're doing the order, so never mind. Just give me 2 of those.
Okay.
That'd be good. Yeah. To be fair, the system is just pay attention to where they get their money. Domino's chicken barbecue pizza stuffed crust. That sounds like a nightmare. That sounds like something that you should never put in your body. Something about that just seems wrong. I gotta be honest. Can I be honest? Let's break this shit down right now. And this is gonna be unpopular with a lot of people. Chicken doesn't belong on a pizza. I'll say it again for those in the back that didn't hear me. Chicken does not belong on a pizza. Doesn't belong. If you're eating chicken on a pizza, you're not eating a pizza. You're eating a deconstructed chicken pot pie. You're eating a chicken pot pie that instead of being sealed is just flat. Get at me. Get at me. Because I got the truth on my side. Sorry, y'all. Sorry. Now, you're more than welcome to order your deconstructed chicken pot pie if you want, right? But that is exactly what it is. It's a chicken pot pie. Okay? Fish or seafood on a pizza? No and no. 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 There you go. How about that? I'm already vindicated for this take because it's just the truth. It's not a take. Nope. Buffalo chicken pizza. That is not a thing. That's not a thing. Right?
I mean,
That's not a pizza.
I disagree.
I know you do. I knew that you would.
Me get chicken pizza.
You've eaten chicken on a pizza before. And I've quietly sat by and let you mislabel it a pizza.
Well, I like chicken on a pizza, but only if it's like not marinara sauce. Like if
Right.
it's the white sauce or
which makes it even more
sauce.
not a pizza. It makes it even more not a pizza. Barbecue sauce on a pizza. That's. I'm surrounded by people who don't understand. Nobody understands. Define pizza. Bread, marinara, cheese.
Or dough. It's not quite.
Oh yeah, dough. Okay, crust, pizza crust, marinara sauce, cheese. You want to throw some toppings on? Some sausage, right? Some meat.
Red meat only.
Yeah. Oh well, pork. Throw some pork on. Pork's not technically red meat. Pork
I
is
guess
the
it's kind of marketing. Just call it the other white
pork
meat.
is the other white meat. Okay.
I don't know how many people bought that.
I did. I learned it growing up, watching the TV. Pork is the other white meat. Okay. What about dessert pizzas? I mean, you gotta ask. Come on, it's a novelty. Dessert pizzas. Such a narrow definition of pizza. Well, oh, I'm sorry. I have the definition that the people invented the fucking thing had. Well, I'm sorry. My bad. Yeah, it's a cookie. A dessert pizza is a cookie.
It's a weird cookie.
Or a tart or something. Yeah, it's weird, but it's a cookie. It's not a pizza. You see? Dough, marinara sauce, mozzarella cheese.
I don't know. I guess you could almost call it like a weird dessert pancake or crepe.
It
dessert
is.
Pizza.
Yeah, it's like a crusty crepe. Crusty dessert crepe. So no pepperoni. I said you can add toppings as long as that's your base, right? Chicken isn't going to go good on it. So that's why chicken doesn't belong on a pizza. Chicken and marinara sauce? Come on. Come on. Let's not do it. Let's not do that. What should you never put on a pizza? Chicken. Chicken.
What if
candy, tofu, fish. There you go.
What if it was chicken sausage?
Maybe you could get away with a little bit of fucking chicken sausage, chicken Italian sausage if you wanted. But that's pushing it. That's pushing it. What about chicken parm? Yeah, but this is not a chicken parm, right? We're not talking about a chicken parm, right? And maybe, yeah, if you put chicken on a marinara pizza with buffalo mozzarella, you're just eating a chicken parm.
On a dough.
Yeah, with the dough deconstructed. If you took that pizza dough, you know what I mean?
What about calzones? Are you more willing to make allowances for calzones?
Well, a calzone is it's a pizza that's folded over onto itself. It's a self-contained pizza.
So you follow the same pizza rules for calzones?
I feel like if you're gonna get fruity, doing it with a calzone is better because you're not showing off to everybody, right? Nobody really knows what's stuffed in the calzone. But if you're open face buffalo chicken pizza, you're just a degenerate at that point. At that point, you don't give a fuck. You're the Joker, basically, right? You just like to watch the world burn. Okay? And that's okay.
I almost am tempted now to get a chicken pizza next time we get pizza.
I'm making her hungry for the wrong stuff.
A buffalo chicken pizza kind of sounds good.
What have I done? Created a monster. Do you like any veggies on pizza? Sure. Yeah, little mushrooms, little black olives on that pizza.
Do you think green pepper's too much?
I don't like green peppers on a pizza. It's just a personal taste, right?
Is it just a texture
thing?
thing?
Yeah, they're too crunchy. I don't like crunchy on my pizza.
Yeah, because you can't get it like completely like
soft.
Yeah, you can't make it a fucking mushroom or olive where it's like integrated.
Yeah, it's like kind of like texturally homogenous almost. or if not, texturally like similar.
Yeah. Onion too. Is onion in the same category as bell pepper?
Yeah, I mean, you're never gonna catch me putting onion on a pizza. It doesn't seem like a thing I'd do. Mushrooms are not veggies. Whatever, they're in that category to me. Close enough.
Over there.
Got a howler.
It's so weird how like Dinor's only howled, I think, like a couple times that we've seen him.
He never learned, but he has the instinct in him.
Yeah, but like you can't make him do it again.
Mm-mm.
He doesn't understand what he just did. He thinks
Mm-mm.
it was like a weird yawn that he did or something.
Yeah.
But I think it's waking up in him because he did one here, remember, not that long ago.
He did.
Proper-ish howl.
The wolf is coming out.
Yeah, but he had his first kill here too.
He did. His first confirmed kill here. A little bit of wilderness, and Dinor has turned into a beast. A vicious beast.
What kind of kill would you be most disturbed by of Dinor?
If he got like a chicken or something,
Yeah.
like if he started chicken snatching, because I mean, like,
You'd have to put your foot down.
well, it would be, yeah, we'd have to start watching him better. I don't think he'd ever do it, but like I had a dog that was about Dinor's size, maybe even a little smaller than Dinor, named Mackenzie when I was growing up. He was a chicken snatcher. And it's just a mess to clean up. It's horrible. It's like that little mole. All I had to do was bury it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
And you know it's hurting your neighbors because it was obviously.
It would be one of
chickens from
it
the
would be one of their
neighbors.
chickens. But I mean, I'm just talking about just in general. Say that wasn't an issue.
Yeah.
The cleanup after a dog has killed a chicken it's because you don't want to like leave evidence of the chicken death just like laying around. So you have to get all those feathers up. You have to get all those chunks up. It's fucked. Chickens just come apart when a dog gets at them, and it's a rough cleanup.
Yeah, and it would be hard to get blood off of Dinor if he stained his white chest with blood.
Yeah.
It would take a few days.
It would.
A few baths to get out.
It would.
He loves chicken, but I don't think he understands where it comes from.
Mm-mm. You hear us talking about you.
You don't know where a chicken come from, do you?
You hear us having a discussion about you. You decide you wanted to come and add your own little 2 cents to the mix.
Yeah. What was your reason for the moldy?
Yeah, why'd you kill the mole? Why'd you do it? Why'd you kill that mole? What'd that mole ever do to you?
It was too stinky under your house.
Was it stinky under there? And you thought it was on our property and was trying to get in, and you just had to take care of business, right? You told it to go away. You told it to go away, and it did go away, so you had to kill it. Is that what it was?
You couldn't chase it.
You could chase. Why you lick? Don't lick. I'll praise you. You don't have to praise back. I'll give you good scratches. You don't have to give good scratches back. That's the privilege of being a dog.
It's because you think he a kitty cat.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the kisses, but no lick. No thank you. No lick. Lickery stickery dog. I'll give you the good scratches. You don't gotta lick. You don't gotta pay it forward. I'll give you the good ones. Does that feel good? Dad knows all the spots.
You know all the spots on cricket too.
Yeah. It's true. Dad knows all the scritchy spouts. Nope, no lick. No lick. Thank you.
Oh, there's a squirrel over there.
There's a squirrel, D. There's a squirrel. Better go get that squirrel. He's lucky. He's lucky I had you distracted.
Do you think he would kill a squirrel if it stayed still enough?
Maybe.
Like a baby squirrel?
Maybe. Maybe he would. I would have said no, but now I know different.
Remember at that other house, he like brought back a bird skull?
Yeah. Yeah. I do remember that. We had it up on the table for a while. Yep. Dinor hogs all the attention as the king should. You're right. It's very kingly. Oh, deep. Coming out there. Coming out there, D. Such a pretty day. Feels so nice. What made you watch Twilight? I don't know. It's one of those. It's one of those movie series that I completely skipped. I have not, well, until I started watching the series, I have not seen any of the Twilight movies at all. And I thought that it would make for an interesting series retrospective. And so that's what I'm working on. That's my big Cinema for Cynics relaunch project that I'm in the script writing and research phase of right now. So that's why I won't be covering the rest of the Twilight franchise on Hey Paul, What You Watching? But I thought it would be fun to cover the first one. So far, so good on the Fart of Humanity today. What do you expect from it? I don't know. to be entertained. And you want to know what? I just finished the third movie last night, and I'm not going to give any spoilers on how I'm feeling about it, but I am entertained. Okay? I'm entertained. It may not be in the way that the movie wanted me to be entertained, right? But I am entertained. I have some observations. And listen, I think it's going to be funny because it is observations from a person that is well outside the scope of the intended audience, right? For Twilight. You look great, bro. Hey, thanks there. It's Tommy. It's Tommy from the motherfucking Bronx. Speaking of Tommy, I got to tell you something because I don't know if you ever pop in on the show. November 1st, okay, in Clifton, New Jersey at Dingbats. Save the date. Save the date, Tommy. November 1st at Dingbats in Clifton, New Jersey. Tickets go on sale soon. Twelve-year-old me went crazy for that shit back when it was new. Now it's a hard watch as an adult. It's an interesting watch for me, but hope Kyle comes to the meetup since he's in New York. That would be dope. I should definitely tell TJ to invite him. Like a formal invite would be cool. I don't know if he's going to come, though. See, I think that there is a rift in the Kyle relationship because TJ was impertinent about Crystal before they were together. And I think Crystal hates me and TJ probably most of all. Because I went on Kyle's show a couple years ago, right? On Crystal, Kyle, and Friends, and there was no Crystal. Able to see how cringy it is now? Are you able to see how toxic it is now? Let me just ask that question. Are you able to see how awful all of the main people involved are for each other and how they destroy everybody around them in the name of their infatuation with one another? It's the worst, bro. It is crazy. It is crazy. Did you see Kyle versus Chink? I did not. I heard that there was a big showdown, but I have not watched it yet. Is it worth checking out? Is Kyle v. Chank everything that it was meant to be, or is it overhyped? Oh, Merrick, it's not, dude. The whole fucking thing is a red flag. It is literally red flag the movie. Well, that's the thing, Ghoul. It is. That's what I'm finding. That's what's keeping me watching it and keeping me entertained. Is like, I feel like it's almost a secret look into the psyche of young females. What are they, because like, what do they fantasize that we are, right? I know from the male perspective, right, how young males fantasize about young females and how we wish they were, right? But this movie is like a look at what women kind of wish men would be. And it's fascinating, right? It's absolutely fascinating to me from that perspective. And Amelia grew up watching these, right? So she's kind of in the same boat. So she's like my conscience sitting on my shoulder, right? When I bring something up and she goes, "Oh, it just gets worse." Like if you think that's fucked up, just wait, Like she's my guide through this. The man she tells you not to worry about sparkles in the sun. Either that or he doesn't own a shirt. One of the two. You know what I mean? In fact, I think I want both. I think I want to play both ends against the middle forever. I want to keep telling this one guy that I love him and only him, but then I want to keep having my second boyfriend on the side and tell him that I love him and want only him. And I want to keep them eternally locked in this stupid battle for my affections. And I want them to never give up. And I want them to never take a stand for their own mental health and their own well being. I want them to just allow me and my inconsistency to destroy not just them, but their whole families. Everybody they know and love, they are willing to destroy them and allow them to destroy themselves just so that they can retain their infatuation with this very, very toxic, self-absorbed, shitty girl. It's like, okay. It's the forbidden mystery, hot guy trope that somehow falls for the regular girl. Yeah. And she straight out says it. Like Bella just straight out says it. I'm not like other girls. And it's like, no shit. Wow. We get it. Well, dude, there was a scene, Otello, in Eclipse where they were chucking mad vibes at each other. I won't say any more than that, but it was palpable. The tension in the air was thick, and I was like, that's what needs to happen. Jacob and Edward needs to ditch this toxic broad and get with each other. That's where the fire's at, okay? This chick is just insane. Like, let the Volturi kill her. Like, who cares? Yeah, the tent scene. Yes, the tent scene. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That was one of, I have to be honest with you, that was one of the craziest scenes I've ever seen in a movie. That scene. One of the craziest scenes I've ever seen in a movie. I laughed so fucking hard at that scene. I haven't finished the movies yet, so I don't know whose team I'm on. That'll be part of the review. I'll have to choose a team. If you're at a clip, she's already engaged. Yeah. Kind of. I guess she's engaged. Team Jacob, because I have a thing for werewolves. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really pulled in one direction or the other because of that. I think they're both stupid. I'd love to sit both of them down and go like, look, this broad, I hate to tell you guys because I know you love her. She is playing you guys like a harp from hell. Look at you two. She got you fighting, got you angsty. She keeps telling both of you that well, right, let me ask you a question. Edward, has she said I love you to you? Yes. Jacob, has she said I love you to you? Yes. Edward, has she made out with you frantically? Yes. Jacob, has she made out with you frantically? Yes. She chuck you vibes and cuddle up to you every chance she gets. Yes. You guys don't see what's going on here? Gets engaged, immediately sucks another dude's tongue. Immediately. Like, I'm not even talking about like in the next scene. I'm talking about in the same scene. Gets engaged. Goes, oh, hold on one second. goes around the corner with Jacob and sucks his tongue. Oh, there's all kinds of red flags in this movie, bro. All the vampires are over 100 years old and they keep repeating high school. It's a situationship. Yeah, it's a bad online relationship, but it's personified. You know, there's actually people. You say what now? This movie's wild. That's why I'm watching it. That's why I've continued to watch it. So I had two more movies in the series before I'm done. And I'm already, I already see the shape of the fucking review. Imagine if Bella were a regular Twitter user. She probably is. There's no way that Bella isn't on Twitter, being toxic as fuck, giving advice nobody asked for. Oh, she's all over Twitter. Yeah, no, I mean it really is. There's his whole family. His whole family is a bunch of like ancient 100-year-olds that survive in the world by continuing by pretending to be eternal high schoolers. Oh, she definitely has a Tumblr blog. You say that the movies are predictable, given your media literacy. To a certain extent, I gotta be honest with you. My media literacy doesn't apply as heavily to like chick flicks and romantic dramas and stuff because I don't really like those types of movies very much. I have a tolerance for them. Like I have watched them, and I've watched a few of them that I thought were okay. But from where I stand, I'm kind of an outsider to the genre. I can't really critique it in light of a bunch of other movies. So the predictability of it is, you know, kind of based on knowledge that I don't have assimilated completely. Oh, yeah, dude, Bella does edgy poetry. The moonlight glimmers on your skin, and I remember how you sparkled in the daylight. Your warm fur cuddles me, and how I wish that the two of you could be one. Yeah, her Tumblr name is like Fur and Fangs. You know what I mean? It's got a bunch of like vampire art and furry art on it. Oh, I know what's up. I know. I could see Bella's social media already. What? Hey, Paul, on your IMDb page, it says you were an extra diner patron in a documentary which starred Andy McDonald and Julianne Moore. Is this true? No. not to my not to my knowledge. No. I was never dinner patron in any documentaries. But maybe, I don't know. Well, let me tell you another thing I've discovered about these movies, right? These movies are all about the smolder. Women don't actually want anything to come to fruition. That's what I've learned about these movies. They like the build up, but they don't want to actually make the hard decision and start, right? So nothing ever happens in the Twilight movies. I've now watched three, And Bella and Edward and Jacob are basically in the exact same place they were in one in terms of what's going on. Now, stuff has happened, but their circumstance has not changed at all. It hasn't. So it's 3 movies so far of them insinuating that Bella and Edward are going to hook up, them insinuating that Jacob and Bella are going to hook up, them insinuating about Bella is going to marry Edward, them insinuating that Edward is going to leave Bella, them insinuating that Jacob is going to leave Bella, them insinuating that Bella is going to leave them both, you know what I mean? But nothing ever happens because it's the smolder, right? She didn't even get married by the third one. It took the whole movie, even though she said she would marry him in the second one. So they're basically in the same place. Now, the second one, she said she would marry him. In the third one, he officially asks her, but they're still in the same place. Right. I get that stuff will happen, I'm assuming. But I'm just saying, like, the first 3 movies, nothing happens. There's no consequence. No main characters die. Their circumstances don't change. For some reason, everybody surrounding Edward and Jacob is willing to let Bella destroy their whole family. Literally. They like her. Both sides of the family like her, even though she has poisoned their long-standing peaceful haven there, right? And turned it into a war zone. They all accept that. They're all cool with it. It makes no sense. None of it makes sense, and nothing happens. So, you know, one of those things. I don't know. It's just intense smolder. And it really is a window into the female sexual fantasy brain, right? Nothing ever really happens. It's the smolder, it's the buildup, it's the insinuation of it all, right? Kind of crazy. You'd think that being alive for over 100 years apiece would grant those immortals more life experience to dodge some new tale that their family got into. Yeah, no shit. You'd think that Edward, after 100 years or more of being alive, 109 years old, I think he is, right? You'd think he would have learned, like, hey, this is pretty destructive when you try and fall in love with a mortal, and I'm just not going to do that, right? And then, maybe she does end up with Jacob as a result of that. I don't know that she's better off with Jacob because he's involved in all kinds of werewolfery. That can't be good. In fact, you see a chick in the movie that's married to one of these werewolves, and she's all disfigured because he tried to eat her. So I don't know. I don't know that I buy this like argument that Jacob's always making that Bella's going to be better off with him, better off with like facial disfigurements and missing an arm because Jacob got mad at her one time. It makes no sense. You know what I mean? So they're toxic for her too. Like she's got this super safe life. She got her whole life ahead of her. She graduated high school. Seems like she's smart, right? They kind of insinuate she does good in school. Her dad's a cop, right? So she's protected, right? She got all these things, got everything in front of her. And she's intent on either killing herself to be with a twink or, like, I don't know, being married to a dog. So it's just like free flowing open air toxicity. It's like an open sewer, this movie, right? Where there is absolutely no good reason that any of these werewolves or vampires should tolerate Bella at all. And there's no good reason that Bella should tolerate these werewolves and vampires at all. Like there's in Eclipse, I was like, they've got this like subplot, right? Where Bella's poor father is torn up inside about these murders that are going on that he has no explanation for. Bella knows who's doing the murdering. And she's living right there with the dad. And it doesn't bother her at all that he's sitting there with these files of all these gruesome murders with no explanation. And she knows who did it. She knows who did it. So she's like a murder cover up artist. She doesn't give a fuck about another human being. Her father, she doesn't care about him. They pretend she does. But if she cared about her dad, she wouldn't be doing any of the things she's doing. It's just wild. The movie's wild. How much of Meyer's Mormon upbringing do you think influenced her writing? Well, the whole Edward, like, I don't want to do this until we're married thing definitely probably came from that, I would imagine. I don't really watch many Lifetime movies anymore, bro. I used to watch them more back when there was less choice, you know? When I was a teenager and, oftentimes there was just nothing on to watch. You'd land on a Lifetime movie here or there, but I probably haven't really watched what I would call a Lifetime movie in at least 2 decades. Um, I've been watching Nip Tuck recently, and one of the things that's really stood out to me that I think like lends an ability for me to have a little media literacy criticism of the show, right? To be able to look at it from a media literacy and influence standpoint. It's like I as a kid growing up spent a lot of time watching soap operas because my mom would watch soap operas, right? There's one TV in the house. If I'm bored, but mom's watching soap operas, I have two choices. I can go get a coloring book or go find something else to do, or I can watch the soap operas. So I used to watch soap operas with my mom when I was a little kid. And now watching Nip Tuck and a lot of other shows, but Nip Tuck is the one we're watching now. I see the soap opera influence, right? I could tell that like the one of the major influences of Ryan Murphy's work in those early days was soap operas. Because the way things happen and unfold, the way people's morality resets between shows is so jarring. But it's less jarring when you have the contextual experience of watching All My Children, right? Which is the one my mom was into. Because that's what that show is about. It's about wild shit that you would never guess. It's about people who have a moral obligation in one show, completely forgetting it the next. General Hospital, yeah. Mom didn't like General Hospital at all. She liked uh, All My Children. And I remember there was a guy named Stewart in All My Children who was, there was one guy that played two roles in All My Children, Adam and Stewart. And they were twin brothers. And I remember for the longest time it was just Adam. And then there was this huge reveal that he had a twin brother that was goofy. Like Adam was this like straight laced, hard nosed, icy cold businessman type. And Stewart is this kind of like gay, artsy fartsy, whimsy type, right? I remember that being like a huge, huge thing, huge like plot twist in the show when I was a kid. Is there a reason soap operas were traditionally filmed at a higher frame rate? I don't know. I don't know. I know that a lot of soap operas in the earlier days were done live, like they were actually live in their time slots. So that's kind of an interesting thing, and it might have something to do with that. Maybe high speed cameras are better for capturing like live footage or whatever. Stewart was kind of tarded, yeah. He was kind of effeminate and kind of tarded, yeah. You know, you remember Stewart and Adam, and then I think they were both in love with like the main chick in the show. I Love Lucy was filmed live as well, I believe. JR, yeah, JR is actually in Nip Tuck. which is another nod to the kind of soap opera nature of it, right? JR, the guy that played JR in Dallas, which was a kind of a soap opera show from back in the day, has a big role in this season of Nip Tuck that we're watching. Kind of interesting. I think Taxi was one of the last sitcoms to be filmed in front of an audience. Yeah, but they kept the trope for the longest time. Yeah, they kept like the laugh tracks and shit for the longest time. It's weird. Grew up with a lot of Mexican soap operas, telenovelas. I have a friend who I went to high school with. He was a couple years ahead of me, and he was a theater nerd like me. His name was, let me see if I can remember his name, Fernando Hernandez. And Fernando went on to be in telenovelas. So he was a really good looking dude, like kind of suave and looked mature for his age. And when he graduated, he ended up getting a gig doing telenovelas, which was kind of interesting. Fernando Hernandez. He was a cool guy. He was a really cool guy. He dated, and it might have been how he got his start. We all went to a summer camp, and Fernando was one of the guys that went. It was me that year. It was me, my friend Rodney, my friend Morgan, and Fernando Hernandez that got accepted into California State Summer School for the Arts. So we're there, and we were there with Edward James Olmos's stepdaughter. She was the same age as Fernando, who was a couple years older than me and the other guys, right? And they hooked up there. So he dated Edward James Olmos's stepdaughter, and that might have been what got his foot in the door as an actor. I don't know. But I know that he went on to do telenovela work, which is kind of cool. Fernando Hernandez is such a good stage name. It is. It's also, I think, kind of a pretty common name amongst Hispanic people. Like both of those names are pretty common. Fernando. Fernando is like the Chad of Spanish names. Is it? Do you know Jeff Dunham? No, I don't know Jeff Dunham. Oh, is he the puppet guy? Yeah, I don't think I've ever watched one of his specials or anything. He seems kind of lame ass to me, not to be mean. A, B, C, D, L, M, N, O, P. Why is Francis a lame name, but Francisco is cool? Because Francisco sounds ethnic, and Francis doesn't. There you go. I just helped you out. I just answered your questions for you. Yeah, Francis sounds lame. Fernando or Francisco sounds ethnic and exotic and cool. Is everyone speeding up? Or am I slowing down? I'm just spinning around and I don't know why. All the pieces don't fit, but I really didn't give a shit. I never wanted to be like you. You like the shirt? You can get it at pessimist.co. This is the Crunchberry Doomer shirt. This is my favorite shirt that we sell right now. Also available in a hoodless hoodie. An official hoodless hoodie. Got to get that Crunchberry Doomer. I might peep that. You should. You should. You should peep that. You gotta rock the Crunchberry Doomer. It's too drippy. Too drippy. Isn't the hoodless hoodie just a sweater? No, it's a hoodless hoodie. That's how we brand it. It's a special feature of a hoodie to have no hood. No, it is. It's a sweater. It's a pullover sweater with no hood on it. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I want to know who stole the hood. Yeah. Who stole the hood? Who stole the hood? Who stole the hood? What it do? What it do? What it do? How you doing, Bradley? What's going on in the world today? TJ does seem like the type to steal the hoodie, doesn't he? Hey, baby. Looking all pretty today for her.
Oh, you like to smell mom soap.
Gotta get a whiff. Gotta get his paws on your nice pants, too.
Yeah.
Just gotta. Mom can't have you on her lap right now because she's got nice pants. Come over here. Come to my lap. You could come to my lap, but you can't be on Mom's lap. No. No, sir. No, sir.
He doesn't want to give up.
Why do you take the drawstrings out of your hoodies? They're twice as warm when the hood is up and drawn tight. Because the drawstrings, I never use them. I never throw a hoodie over my head and then pull the drawstrings around my face. That's just not how they're used. Okay?
To be fair, some of them have just come out in the wash, too.
Some of them come out in the wash, but I typically just do it. Eventually, I get sick of them and I'll just pull them out. I don't like having the danglers. I don't need them.
You'd rather just wear a beanie or something if you want to keep your head warm.
Yep. Contemplation. Oh yeah. My brain is lately my brain is jumping all over the place. I have been conceptualizing things in my head quite a bit lately. And sometimes I will have a thought that pulls me into that. Yeah, they get pulled to one side. Yeah, it's lame. I hate the drawstring. Somebody needs to improve the hoodie drawstring. It's got to be an improvable option. Like, I feel like, okay, if you just replaced that little metal tip with like a ball that couldn't go through that eyelet, then you'd never have them slipping out. You could make the ball part of the fashion accessory of it, right? I'd be fine with that. But I just feel like they've had the same fucking... It's a shoelace.
Yeah, the shoelace that likes to come out.
Yeah, it's a cheap-ass shoelace. It's a pain in the ass to put them back through again. You gotta tie the shoelace to a wire hanger and fucking stuff it all the way around, pull it out the other end. It's bullshit.
And they have them on pants, too.
Yeah. It's bullshit. I feel low energy, very unmotivated lately. Yeah, that happens. Cash machine is blue and green.
I did some of the comments on your latest Hey Paul, what you watching? They're like, you didn't watch a real Marvel movie.
It's like, man, they're really being gatekeepy because it's a Marvel movie. It doesn't matter that it wasn't made by Marvel Studios. It's a Marvel movie. And it is, and they cannot claim that the Sony Spider-Man verse doesn't have continuity.
Yeah, because Spider-Man came into all the other shit.
Right. So the Sony Spider-Man verse is adjunct to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's part of it. They can fucking cope and seethe about that. Cope and seethe. Because it's just the truth. They exist in the same fucking contiguous universe. They're from the same franchise. It's true.
And even though it was bad, I'd argue that there were some pros to it that some other Marvel movies haven't had, like the R rating and the violence.
Yeah, violence and language and stuff. It was, cool to see that in a superhero movie, but it didn't carry anything. Like, it wasn't good enough to distract from all the numerous plot holes and bullshit fucking rules that sets up and breaks and ugly CG. I mean, just like absolutely unwatchably bad CG in the movie. One of the goofiest villains ever. I mean, the Rhino has got to be one of the goofiest things ever. Had like a half comatose Russell Crowe playing a Russian mobster. You know, it just like had nothing going for it, man. The main character, they hired a dude. I think they didn't even test to see if he could act, if he had any passion for it. They just looked at his washboard abs and his pecs and his big bulgy muscles, and they were like, okay, you're the guy. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's how this movie was casted. They casted a set of washboard abs to run around. He's ultra powerful when he needs to be, right? And he's a weak little bitch when he needs to be. And there's no continuity to any of this shit. You don't even really get an idea what he's about at all, like where he stands morally or otherwise. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's just bad guy punch up, good guy punch up, bad guy,
They
movie
took
over.
a character that's almost the entire time he's in the comics a villain.
Yeah.
And made him a hero.
Yeah. Which is stupid. He's like the white Black Panther.
Yeah.
That's kind of like how his origin story worked out. It's fucking gay. It sucked. Boo. Boo. Emphatic boo. 2 thumbs down. Boo. Gotta put some bass in your voice when you boo. Boo. That was a shitty movie, man. That's the worst movie I've watched in a while. Bully Maguire was always my favorite MCU character. Yeah, people like emo Tobey Maguire. Emo Spider-Man is everybody's favorite Spider-Man, I think.
Well, he's divisive. I think a lot of people didn't like him too.
Well, yeah, I mean he's divisive because
so
the people that do like him for the meme.
Yeah.
And the people that don't like him for the meme.
Yeah.
It just, did you like the meme or not? It wasn't a good performance. It wasn't a good movie moment. But it was a good meme. You know what I mean? It made a lot of really fun memes. So it must be okay, you know. You know, really, like the sign of a really, truly, honestly bad movie is that it's not even meme worthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't see a single meme besides Rhino looks retarded.
Yeah, I don't even think. Yeah, he's not even worth, because he's so muddy looking and garbage looking. It's just, bleh. But yeah, no, you got to have memeability gives you points, even if it's not what you intended. It's like The Room, you know, like he didn't intend that movie to be a laughing stock comedy, but that's what it is. And a bunch of people love it for that. And it took him a while, but eventually he leaned into it and started pretending he always meant it to be a satirical comedy. Right? It's like that. So bad it's good is a thing. Right? Or just bad but worthy is a thing. Right? Bad, but...
Moonfall, bad but worthy.
Yeah, bad but worthy. Moonfall. That's a great example, right? This is a shit film, but man, it was entertaining. You know what I mean? Even Twilight, you know, a little bit has lived up to that so far for me. Like really bad and filled with plot holes, but not a hard watch. They're paced well. Stuff happens, even when stuff doesn't happen. You know, they make it seem like stuff is happening. In a couple of the movies, anyway. The early 2000s atmosphere of NYC in the background when those movies were filmed really gives it an edge for me. Which movies? What are we talking about? Which movies?
Oh, there is a movie with Robert Pattinson that has the worst twist ever, where he dies in 9/11.
I think
Remember Me?
I think you've talked about that. I have not seen it. Or maybe I have seen it. That sounds so familiar. What was that movie I saw where I liked Robert Pattinson in it?
Um,
It was that weird movie with the timeline thing that was swapping.
let's see.
It was a big movie, but nobody has talked about it since it came out. It was a sci-fi flick.
Wait, I know you liked him in the White House. Oh, he was in Tenet.
Tenet. Yeah, people were like wild for that movie, and then it just disappeared off the map. Nobody even talks about it no more.
I know it didn't have the same thought experiment level as what should I call it with Leonardo DiCaprio.
It was kind of trying to hit those vibes, the Inception
Yeah.
vibes, but I
It
think
was too confusing to have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it was a fun watch though, and I thought Robert Pattinson really was a standout good in it.
But it was too dense to have the same appeal as
Yeah.
Inception.
And then he's really good. Pattinson like really shines in The Lighthouse as well.
You haven't tried the new Batman.
I have not tried Pattinson.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer. I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet. I saw a meme of Oppenheimer that I don't know that I could take the entire movie seriously. The guy that farts in the movie theater. Because there's a scene where they're counting down. They're like, 3, 2, 1. And then the whole theater goes silent. And some dude that had seen it was filming in the theater, waited for that moment, and rips the loudest fart ever. And the whole theater starts laughing. I saw that, and I don't think that I can take the movie seriously now. I don't think I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah. What'd you think of him in Goblet of Fire, Robert Pattinson?
He was good as Diggory.
Yeah.
Cedric Diggory. He was good in that. That Goblet of Fire might be
Your favorite?
my favorite Harry Potter flick. It might be the best one in my opinion because I think it's dark, but not too dark.
Mm-hmm. The director apparently was really dedicated. Like that fight between the Weasley twins, like he got in there with them, and then he let one of them break his ribs, like showing them how he wanted the scene to go.
Jeez.
So he broke his ribs, tussling with those teenagers.
Yeah. Oppenheimer was great, but the nuke drop scene was kind of botched. Well, I don't know if it's botched or not, but that dude farting in the silence was too much for me, man.
You think it's incomplete without the fart?
Yes. Yes, I do. The Lighthouse is a great chamber film too. I wouldn't say that it's I mean, I guess you could say it's chambery.
The island is the chamber.
The island is the chamber, right?
But then you'd have to call what you call? I don't know why I'm so bad at pulling names today, but the one with Leonardo DiCaprio in the asylum.
Oh, yeah. Shutter Island.
Yeah, you'd have to argue that's a chamber film too.
Kinda, yeah.
Lighthouse is a chamber film.
Yeah. It definitely has elements of chamber, like the claustrophobia and the kind of like forcing people to deal with one another because they have no choice, right? Those sorts of things are typical of a chamber movie, but The Lighthouse has too expansive an area and too many different shooting areas to be a truly chamber film. If The Lighthouse was shot entirely in The Lighthouse, it would be a chamber film, right? But it's shot in the lighthouse, in the bunkhouse, in the pump house, on the island, in the ocean. You can't really call it a chamber film. They kept cutting back to reaction shots instead of holding on the explosion for more than a couple seconds at a time. Yeah, they should have just let the explosion happen, but they kept cutting to characters, I guess, is what you're saying. Yeah, that sounds like a bad creative choice.
Yeah, because the nuke is a character in its own, I feel like, in a lot of...
Well, especially in
depictions
that
of it.
one,
Yeah.
it should be in Oppenheimer, right?
Apparently they're letting Pattinson happen again. They're planning a part 2 in 2027. You were just over Batman in every way, are you?
I am. I just don't want any Batman.
I just do not want to see that origin story for the 80th time.
No, I don't. I'm not interested in it anymore. I'm not interested in the character anymore.
Gotham City anymore.
Gotham doesn't intrigue me. The villains don't intrigue me anymore. It's just been washed. Strangelove is the best Nuke movie, probably. Yeah, maybe. It's a fun one, at least.
I'd say your least favorite Nuke was that episode of oh my god, that Lynch show.
Twin Peaks?
Yeah, Twin Peaks: The Return.
Yeah.
Was your least favorite Nuke.
Yeah.
It was just a frustrating episode for you.
It was.
It was a frustrating season.
Yeah, it was.
I can't recall a single name of anything today.
You're having a name day.
I remembered Remember Me for some reason.
He did. I think we're just Pattinson brained. We're just Twilight brained right now.
Yeah.
We've been immersed. Been immersed in the Twilight nonsense. It's going to be 2 cinematic portrayals simultaneously soon. Pattinson and whoever James Gunn picks for the new DC universe. Why wouldn't they just have Pattinson do that? Why are we constantly recasting Batman?
Can we allergic to keeping a Batman?
Can we land on a Batman? Because in the comics and stuff, Batman gets old and stuff, you know? He doesn't just relive his origin story 90 million times in a row. Like, Batman gets old. Stuff happens to Batman other than his origin story in the comics, as far as I know. Why do they gotta keep doing it? Keep some continuity.
Which Batman would you prefer to get old?
Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Yes. If they'd have just stuck with Keaton, he'd be an awesome Batman right now. Grizzled, old, wizened Batman who's getting towards, like, he's got to pass the torch soon. That'd be an interesting place for Batman to be.
But they just want hot Batman.
But they just want hot young Batman, and the origin story is the only thing they focus on with Batman. Everybody knows how Batman was started
and,
now.
Maybe 3 of his biggest opponents.
Yeah, they don't dip into any of the other Batman opponents. It's always the same 3 dudes.
Joker,
Two-Face, maybe a Riddler. Like, come on. Woof.
What Batman villain do you think would be interesting that they haven't touched on?
It's tough because I'm not a big DC guy.
Yeah, so you didn't read out much of the comics.
The ones I know are the ones that they've really just overdone in the movies, pretty much, because I was just not really into Batman in the comics at all. I probably would have known some more back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because when you're a nerd, you know. I just can't really claim comic book knowledge since, like, middle school. That was my shit in middle school, though. Middle school was, like, 7th, 8th grade. That was my comic book years. And, Mad Hatter, lame. Clayface, lame. They've really kind of done Scarecrow a bunch, too. He's another one that they've redone 3 or 4 times. So can't really do him. Joker's dead.
Penguin
overdone.
Well, you can't beat DeVito Penguin.
Yeah. And DeVito's still alive, so once again, they could get, you know, they could have just stuck with the originals if they wanted. If they wanted to keep retreading these same characters, DeVito would still be an amazing Penguin. And I honestly think Michael Keaton would be an amazing grizzled old Batman looking to pass the torch. But they just don't do it. They're not willing to pay enough money to get the actors to do it, or what? I don't know what it is. They don't have the vision.
Batman abs. That's it. They want Batman abs.
Yeah,
they want the edgy teenagers to like the latest iteration of the Joker.
Right. So, you know, it's kind of the same problem that they're running into with the MCU, I think, is like those Marvel characters get old, you know? They get old. They pass the torch and stuff.
But same thing. Problem with Spider-Man. They want to do his origin story over and
right.
over.
And in the case of the MCU, they were just like, well, we're done with the Avengers now. We're going to do a bunch of origin stories of other ones now. And it's just like, but a lot of those other ones have already been done. It's X-Men, it's this, it's that, right? There's nothing new. There's not, you know, they're not allowing those characters to grow at all. They're just trying to trap them constantly in their origins. And when they age out, they recast and reboot instead of telling the more compelling story of what happens to Black Widow as she gets old. Right? What happens to Thor as he starts to become more like his father and less like the brash youngster he is when we see him at first, right? We don't ever get to see it again. They're always young, they're always impetuous, and they're always locked in the arc of their origin.
And you just end up not giving a fuck when the tragedy happens in their origin story because you've seen it 100 times.
There's no surprise in the Batman origin story. There's no surprise in any of the origin stories for any of these. In 30 years close to it of insane superhero domination of the culture. So there's not a person alive that's interested in movies that doesn't know the origin story of these characters now. So reboots are all out of the question for me because I just don't care anymore. I don't want to see it again. They even had to do the parents dying shit in Joker. I know, they're so locked to the origin story because I think it's just a lack of creativity, right? They lock in, people fall in love with the pacing and the exposition and finding out about these characters and the arc of an origin story, right? People fall in love with that. But then they've just got a creative nothing working at these studios. They can't think of anything other than how do we get somebody with cleaner abs in? You know, Affleck is getting a little old. Well, let's get Robert Pattinson in there. He's got clean abs. Ah, true. He's a little wispy though. Ah, he'll bulk up. You know what I mean? That's the creative process. Not like, guys, we've told this origin story 15 fucking times in the last 20 years. What can we do new with Batman? Nope. What can we do new with the Avengers? Nope. They'd have to actually read the comics. Well, they'd have to, because the comics, the answer in the comics is step out of our comfort zone. Let's put these characters in morally ambiguous situations and let them confront their power in strange and different ways.
You know what ruined Marvel?
What?
Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange added this fucking other dimension shit where they can reset.
Well, it's a MacGuffin that lets nothing. It lets them instantly reset everything infinitely, which is instantly. It's part of the comics too, but they're leaning on it super heavily to avoid having to do anything, and that's not what the comics do with it. The comics do with it, like the comics have all of these like universes that aren't canon, but they're part of. Right? It's like they did make one movie, Logan. That movie, the Wolverine movie where he's old and worn out and dying, that's not canon in the Marvel verse, right? But it's one of these possible futures. One of these weird futures that didn't work out, right? Where the Hulk, like there's some weird ones with the Hulk. There's one where the Hulk takes over Banner completely and he ends up on this planet where it's filled with these big monsters and he defeats them all and he's alone, the king of this planet. And he does nothing other than when people visit him to defeat them, right? So he's just become this tyrant king that sits alone on this throne all day, waiting for anything to set foot on his planet, and all he knows is to be stronger than it, right? There's a whole group of comics in the Hulk series that are about that. There are different Hulks. So like there's a Banner as he's like looking into his affliction with the Hulk, finds out how to control it a little bit, but it ends up splitting the Hulk. So there's a gray Hulk who retains all of Banner's intellect, but gets more aggressive and more and doesn't retain his personality. He's kind of like an alter for Banner. And then there's a red Hulk who is a whole different thing from the Hulk, right? And they've only recently did the Red Hulk in some offshoot movie thing. But like, why are we not getting a Hulk movie? Or we explore Banner individuating into these different Hulks, and you know how this Hulk wants to fight this Hulk. There's all that. He has this inner psychological battle between the original Hulk, the Red Hulk, the Gray Hulk, right? None of that's happening. You know, I don't know. This is just one of the millions of reasons why, and I could go on and on. Maybe it should be a video. Why I'm done with superhero movies, right? Maybe that should be a big retrospective video. Instead of covering an entire franchise and torturing myself with it, I cover the entirety of it, right? I do a broad scope retrospective on superhero films, starting when I was a kid, right? Starting with the early iterations, the Tim Burton Batman and the Superman films from when I was a kid, and looking at how they changed and how they didn't change, and how they have dominated the box office for nigh on 30 years now, almost completely.
I'm gonna go get your weed.
Thank you, baby. You be careful, okay?
I will.
I don't know, man. I'm just absolutely done. I'm done with Marvel and superhero shit, cape shit. Forget about the rat race. Radio video. Does your property management have any rules against indoor smoking? My property management, so this is something that I've learned, right? It is best to find, if you're going to rent a house, it's best to find a one of these like big faceless conglomerate owned homes. That's what I live in now, right? There's not like a single individual that owns this home. This home is corporately owned by a giant property management company that owns tens of thousands of homes across the country, right? And in those instances, all they care about, right, is that I'm not burning the house down, I'm not destroying the house, I'm not blowing up the house, I'm not ripping up the house, right? That is literally all they care about, because I'm not a person to them, I'm a paycheck. So as soon as I give them notice that I don't want to live here anymore, they're going to have somebody else in here within a month, and they don't care that they're not me, right? And that's all they care about. If you rent from one of these people that own a house, right, and they live across the street from it, you're going to have that person up your asshole 24/7, 365 days a year, whining and whinging about things you're not supposed to be doing in the house, treating you. And one of the things about weed is, too, I pretty openly and unapologetically will smoke indoors no matter where I'm at. And the reason for that is, if you read the legal marijuana laws in all of these legal recreational states, the only place that you can legally smoke marijuana is in your own domicile, right? You are not allowed to go out on the street. It is illegal to go smoke a joint out on the sidewalk, right? And that is true in every one of these places. They have provisions carved out for certain businesses, but it is very, very, very harshly scrutinized if a business wants to allow smoking on the property. You are never allowed, like, you go into a pot shop, you want to get kicked out and banned from a pot shop forever, try sparking up a doobie in the pot shop. They'll fucking kill you in there. Because there are rules. The only place that you are allowed to carte blanche smoke weed as much as you want is your own personal domicile. So if you want to rent houses, if that's how you want to make your money, you want to be a landlord, guess what? You can't have any rules against people smoking weed in your house. It's the only place they legally can, and it is their personal domicile according to the rules if they're renting it from you. Ooh. Sounds like a problem to me. Yeah, well, I mean, you can find outliers, right? Res pot shops will allow you to have a little smoking room because they're not under federal fucking scrutiny. Not yet. So just one of those things, man. People are fucking, I don't know. They can't even prove it with cigarettes. I'll be fucking dead ass honest with you, right? And I got to be honest, there is a scam that goes on in rentals. Let me put you up on game. It's called the security deposit scam. Have you ever heard of this? If you've ever signed on for a house or an apartment, you probably put down what's called a security deposit. Guess what you should do as a renter? You should look at that security deposit as a lost cause that is going to cover incidental damage to the property and any other things that they have to fix up. I'll tell you something that you don't know. They act very protective over the carpet in these places. You know, one of the cheapest things you can do in a house is put down or pull up cheap carpet. When you move out of one of these houses and you've been there for a year or two, They rip the carpets out, no matter what. So you can be Mr. Pristine and keep those carpets looking just like they've never been walked on, or you can just not give a fuck. You're never getting it back. Yeah, you're lucky if you get a little percentage of it back. And typically, the only times I've ever really gotten a bunch of money, like any money back from a security deposit, is if I did one go round, lived there for 1 year, did a 1 year lease and left. Then you might get half of it back. If you lived there for 2 years, they're going to find this, they're going to find that. Oh, there's water damage over here. Oh, there's a nail hole over here. Oh, there's a thing. Oh, there's a stain on the carpet. Oh, this is this. Oh, you smoked in here. Oh, you did this. Fuck them. It's a move-in fee. Look at it like that. Treat it like that. They can't tell you what to do in your house, right? They may own the property, but you are the legal resident. It's your domicile. You do what you fucking want in your house. And they can find another fucking way to make money if they don't like it. Oh, well, that's another thing, though, Jareth. When you, because here, it's different in states, right? But when you go to sign a lease, you have the opportunity to walk the property. And here's what you do to protect yourself from that. You take pictures of everything that's fucked up and you put it in an email and you send it to your property management company, dated, and say, here's the incidental damage that was present before our move-in date of this, this, and this. And the pictures are in an email that's dated before your move-in date. Then, if you really want to be, you really want to try and get that money back, if they try and say, oh, well, there was damage to the fence, you say, oh, you mean the damage to the fence that was there per this email dated before my move-in date that I took a picture of? You mean that damage to the fence? But ultimately, it's going to cost you a lot of time going back and forth with them to get any money up out of them. So, yeah, they've already got your money, so you have to sue them, which costs money. It's just one of them things. So I just look at it as a lost cause. I move into a house, that's the fuck you, I'm moving out fee. That's the don't at me, I'm moving out fee, and I pay it up front. Have my deposit kept over missing smoke. Oh, they'll find something. That's the thing. That's the scam. Is that you could literally put plastic wrap around the whole house and preserve it to the exact specifications it was when you moved in. They're going to find something. And if they don't, they'll make it up. Mildew. It's like the mildew that was already there. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm supposed to pay. So I paid $500 to move in so that you could clean the mildew that was already there when I moved in. Oh, okay. It's better not to fight it because it's right now, with the way that tenants' rights are in this country, it's a losing battle. Even if you do get money up out of them, you got to sue them to get it a lot of times. And you end up breaking even on it. We don't give a shit. Well, look at the rules in your area, femboy. I don't know what state you live in, but if you live in California, Washington, Oregon, Arizona, or Texas, I can tell you that there are laws on the books for tenants' rights in all of those states, to my knowledge, that require a landlord to give you 24 to 48 hours notice before property entry. They should never show up unannounced and ask for fucking access to your home. There are rules. So they should not just be showing up, knocking on your door and asking for entry to your property. And if they're doing that, you have every right to tell them to go get bent. And if they try and enter your property without your consent, you call the cops and tell them you have trespassers. Yeah, they're not, like, that's one of those things that a lot of people don't know. Landlords are not allowed to just come poke their nose in your business, right? It's not in the contract that they can sniff your business. It's in the contract that if they want to make sure that some safety feature of the house is intact, they can give you notice and they can come and check that safety feature under your supervision. That's it. Yeah, no, they should not be. I don't know. Yeah, you're Canadian, so I don't know how it fucking works up there, but I would imagine there are tenants' rights that keep them from just bringing the key to your house and letting themselves in willy-nilly whenever they want. Mm-mm. Yeah, they can't even come and check out the lawn of your property and put a foot on it without notice to you. Okay, people don't understand this. You're not renting somebody else's house. You are paying a fee to make that house your private property, your domicile. You have legal rights as the tenant at that house to evict people from your property, just as if you owned it. And that includes the people who own it. Your rights to privacy supersede their rights to check on their shit and to be a hawk and to sniff your business every second of every day. And they know it, but you don't. And they'll trample on it if you don't assert yourself. Right. Somebody shows up unannounced to your house and says, "Hey, we're here to inspect something." You say, "No, you're not. I got no notice. And if you enter this property, I'm calling the police. Do not put a key in that door. I'm calling the police. Get off my property. You give me 48 hours notice before you step foot here. And even then, you come with respect. This is my home. Now get off my land." They give you any pushback, you call the cops. Law's on your side. You have the right to decide who stands on your property and who enters your home at any time. That's what I'm saying. You look into the provincial rules, femboy. You find out what the rules are in your area. And if they kick you out, you sue their asses and you're a Canadian millionaire. There you go. You sue their asses for violation of your tenants' rights and discrimination. And you sue them for a few $100,000 and you settle out of court and you got a nice little nest egg. Don't just sit by afraid of the people that own the property you live on. You have rights. This is not Mogadishu, right? Canada is not Uganda. They're not going to they can't show up anytime they want and kick you into the street. There are rules. There are regulations. There are federal regulations to how you can be treated and what your rights are on property that you live on. Yeah. You have a lot more power than you think. And I don't know. Like, once again, I'm presuming that Canada has similar tenants laws to America. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know fuck all about Canada. But I'd look into it if I were you. Find out what your province's tenants' rights are. I can almost guarantee you there is notice required for them to come onto your property. If they violate that, you document it. If they do it again, you sue them. That's the way it works. You can't let these people act like they're your mom and dad because they bought a house to rent it out to people. They don't get to tell you what you can do. right? You want to tear down the house, there are rules against that. You want to destroy the house, there are rules against that. There are legal avenues they can take to evict you out of the house if they feel you're doing that. But barring that, it's your home. You don't have to let people in. You don't have to take phone calls from them. They can't be knocking on your door all the time. You have privacy rights. You have tenants' rights. And they will trample all over them if you let them. You know, these people know this. You become a landlord. You're assuming, just like anybody does with any business, the risks. You don't want to have to clean up a house after a tenant's been there for 3 years so you can rent it out again? Don't become a fucking landlord. Cry me a river. You don't like chopping down trees? Don't become a lumberjack. You don't like handling fish? Don't become a fisherman. You get seasick? Don't buy a boat. What do you want me to tell you? People act like they're under assault because they're rich and own multiple properties and they make you pay out your ass to live in it, and they act like you're the leech. They're the leech. They're the middleman. Treat them like it. Well, you're not alone, femboy. They take advantage of people that way. People, they because our current culture tells us, listen, even the term that we've come up for them, land what? Lord? There are no lords in the United States, but we let these people style themselves lords, and they've actually convinced us that they are. A lot of us. Look at you. You've been letting them come into your house unannounced for a year because you're afraid of the Lord. You're afraid the Lord might kick you out. The Lord might up your rent. Fuck that. There are no lords in Canada, and there are no lords in the United States of America. You know what they are? Maintenance people. And I'll tell them that straight to their face. You're not a lord. You're my maintenance guy. If there's a leak, guess who I call to pay for it? You. Otherwise, nose out of my asshole, because it ain't my problem. Every landlord should get into the business with that in mind. I'm a servant. I maintain a property for people to live in, and I provide them a service, not the other way around. You're going into it so that you can brown nose every tenant you have and make sure that they put plastic wrap on everything and don't leave a scratch. You're in the wrong business. You want to be a hotel manager. Go do it. You're my maintenance guy. If I have a problem as a paying tenant, I call you, not the other way around. You're my maintenance guy. You're my plumber. You're my roofer. You're my tree trimmer. You're my damage mitigation expert when there's a storm. You're not my boss. You're not my father. You're not my superior. You're a maintenance guy. So get to maintaining. Thank you, baby. What is this one again?
It's a hybrid.
Magic gumdrops. Oh, shit. We'll see. We'll see how magic they are. Yep.
Stinky.
It is. You smelt it already?
Yeah.
Smelt it through the can. Ooh, it is. It has a nice kind of fresh smell to it.
Yeah.
Or is that you?
No.
You've got a fresh smell to you. Now, I was just telling people how we have to start thinking of landlords. And we need to send the message in this country because landlords, and I've talked about this before, they take the Lord way too seriously in their title. They're not. They're maintenance people. They're maintenance people who sign a contract for you to have a private domicile. And because they maintain property ownership, they maintain the maintenance burden. Right. That is all they are. They're plumbers. They're toilet fixers. They're roofers. They're middlemen between the contracting out of fixes to the house that are required for it to be your domicile. They serve you, not the other way around. You're the one paying. They're the one providing a service. That's like being afraid to ask for no ketchup on your McDonald's burger because they'll kick you out of McDonald's and never serve you again. It's retarded. And we've allowed them to LARP as actual landed lords in some feudal fucking nightmare. And they've got it in their minds that they can poke their nose in your business. They can be up in your house unannounced. They can be up in your jacking your rent up every fucking 5 seconds for this, that, and the other thing, keeping your deposit no matter what. Right? We've allowed them. Look at Femboy here. Has for a year been living in fear, allowing his landlord to come in and look at his property unannounced whenever he wants because he's afraid that the landlord's going to kick him out. That is like allowing McDonald's to decide when you get the burger and not wanting to question it because you're afraid you'll never get a burger again. It makes no fucking sense. But we, as a nation of people who are now largely renters, have allowed them to LARP as British lords to the tune of calling themselves lords to us for so long that they believe it now. The audacity of thinking that you could rent a house to somebody and then have your nose up their ass. The pomposity of it. It has prima nocta vibes. Oh, you're getting married? Well, first night with the wife is me, your lord. It has literal prima nocta vibes. And we've allowed them to LARP it up. I'm pissed. They've got somebody that I know from our community afraid.
Well, they also have conspiracies about professional renters anytime that the renter knows their rights.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this is a professional tenant that's trying to fuck me because they know their rights.
Yeah. There are no lords in this country. And you need to remind the people you're renting from of that. You don't step a toe on my shit. Not a toe without prior notice.
Yeah. And I think people give too much lenience to quote-unquote small landlords. Like, they're both equally bad in different ways.
It doesn't matter.
It's not the big companies that are...
That's like caring. It's like giving a hamburger stand a pass for making shitty hamburgers because they're not a big corporate conglomerate. No. You hold them to the same standard. I didn't choose for you to open a burger stand. You did. I didn't choose for you to be a landlord for a living and sit around and just collect other people's hard-earned work, right? That's what you decided. So guess what? Guess what? You suffer the fucking slings and arrows of a business decision, just like anybody else does. You make shit burgers, you make no money. Sucks to be you. You got shit location, you make no money. Sucks to be you. You don't get to theoretically jack rent up on a property that's falling into the ground.
Yeah, they're like, oh no, our property tax went up $100. That means I gotta charge you $100 more a month.
Yeah. It's like, what? Literally, I live in fear of them. They don't even send an email. They essentially break in if I don't answer. Like I said, you're Canadian, femboy. But I presume Canada has tenants' rights. And you need to find out what your provincial rights are. You should probably do it now. Quit listening to me. You now know. Take a little break and go find out what your rights as a tenant are. Call your landlord today and tell him you're now enforcing your rights. They will give you however much notice is provincially required, and they will tell you what they are there for, and you will supervise their visit. And if they don't like that, they can call your lawyer because they're in violation of your rights. Don't live in fear for another fucking second. I could not live that way, worrying that every second of every day I'm going to hear a jiggle in my doorknob and some idiot's going to be wandering around my shit.
Yeah, you told them off when they were doing that at one of the houses we were renting.
Yeah. I walked straight out to his ass. You told me that you saw them walking around, and I was like, what? And then I saw them walking around, and I walked straight up to him, and I said, can I help you? Oh, we're just here checking things out. I was like, did you let me know you were going to be on my property? Oh, we're just looking. You can give me 48 hours notice before you step toe on my property. I know my rights. Shoo. Draw the line at your home. Your home. Your home is supposed to be a place where you feel secure in your possessions and secure in your privacy. That is your home. Don't spend another fucking day in a place you don't feel safe. You call them today and you give them statutes. According to Manitoba statute number 783-1, 48 hours is required. 48 hours notice is required to gain entry to my property. And prior notice of what the visit is about so that I may supervise that visit. Find out exactly what it is, quote them the statute, say you violate this again, and I'm calling the police. I'm calling the Mounties or whatever the fuck. And I'm reporting a violation of my rights and a violation of my fucking privacy. My tenant's rights. And my property. My domicile has been invaded over the last year for the last time. You send him the email today. Sorry for derailing. You didn't derail. You gave me a topic. This is something that needs to be said by way more people. I'm a fucking renter. I'm in the same stew pot as you. My interests are your interests. Don't get it twisted. I care about you, femboy, but this is more about me than it is you. Or I guess a better way to put it is more about us than it is you. Me, you, and everybody else besides. We're a renter's nation now. And we've got them calling themselves lords. This affects me. This affects you and everybody I know. So don't get twisted. You did a good thing. I mean, you did a good thing talking and saying something about it because hopefully it leads to you having a good night's sleep for the first time. You need to know your rights. And anytime somebody asks you to sign a contract, you need to know what your fucking rights are and exploit them maximally. Because if you don't, you're just giving away your privacy, giving away your rights, giving away money. Dude, there's not a straight shooter in the world. That's what my dad told me one time. Everybody's looking to put you over a barrel. I don't know if he's right about that, but it might be right to live that way. It might be right to live assuming that that's true. Got me fired up, man. I hate that shit, man. I hate watching people live in fear, and I hate the people that institute that fear on people and use that lack of knowledge to rake people over the coals and have people's lives feel like they're invaded every fucking second of every day. Oh my God, I just want to strangle that motherfucker. Nothing quite gets me more salty in person than a violation of my personal privacy and my personal fucking sovereignty on my land. Like, you guys that watch me, you guys know I was bitching a few months ago about that fucking UPS driver that was like, every time Amelia would go to the door, he was shitty with her. Like, claiming that we stole some fucking package, like, literally before we moved in. It's fucking retarded, right? And that, luckily, that dude got reassigned. Like, we have a new driver now. So maybe they fired his ass. I don't know what the fuck happened. Hopefully they fired his fucking bitch ass. But whatever the case may be, that don't fly with me. That don't fly. Wasn't there some kind of Chewy package that randomly ended up in y'all's house? Something like that. It's like, this guy fucked up at his job. And that was that. And he wanted to be shitty to my wife about it, shitty to me about it. Now that motherfucker's got a new route or a new job. One of the two. Because I don't let people fucking push up. It's like, I went out and talked to the motherfucker face to face and told him, hey, don't talk to my wife and accuse my wife of shit because you fucked up. Well, you're going to sign for everything. I said, we'll see. And guess what? He came back, tried to get us to sign for something that wasn't signature required. I called his boss. I called his boss again. I called his boss again. And now that motherfucker's driving his little truck in some other neighborhood. Because I'm not about to be trampled. I'm not about to be shit on by somebody who's doing a service for me and I'm paying for that service. Go fuck yourself. My money spends just as green as anybody else's money does. People got their little fucking fiefdoms, and you give an inch and people take a mile. That motherfucker thought that it was in his purview to put me on some fucking non-existent list of people who have to sign for every goddamn fucking package. No. Wrong. I'm not getting my doorbell rang 3 times a fucking day, every day, because you're a bitch. You gotta knuckle up or people will walk all over you, bro. This is something that I had to learn. I gotta be honest with you. I lived a lot of my life as a fucking doormat. Bro, everybody was scraping their shoes on me. Even people I called friends. What do you think about that? You let that mentality go, you'll have friends wiping their ass on your drapes. Make no bones about it. People sense a pushover. I bet that guy's done that to other people. He fucks up. He gets a citation for delivering a package to the wrong address. Comes over, harasses these fucking people till the end of time. I bet he had other people in this neighborhood on the same regime. Had his little kingdom over here. Gave him a little power, gave him a little discernment, put him in his little truck with his little brown uniform on. And all of a sudden, he's king shit in the neighborhood? No. Wrong. But he didn't know he was fucking with me. I'm a shark with that shit. Dude, if I'm left alone, I'm the easiest going guy in the world. You step one toe out of line with me, you're going to wish you didn't. I'm a nightmare, bro. I'm a nightmare. Literally. You ain't seen a Karen till you step on my shit. You step on my property, you step on my rights, you waste my time, you try and come at me, you'd wish you never had. Because I'm relentless. I'm relentless. and I'm unstoppable. So, like I said, dude, don't tread on me. You do your job, I'll do mine. You live on your property and do with it what you will. I'll do the same on mine. You try and step in between that at all, you've got an enemy. A real enemy. Because I'm fucking crazy. I'm a lunatic, bro. I don't stop. Like, I don't let myself get wiped. Because it just happened too many times. I got ass wiped too many times in my life. I'm the wrong one now. Right? A line in the sand was drawn many, many years ago. And anybody even steps up to it, they wish they didn't. But I give as good as I get, right? When I make a promise to somebody, I keep it, right? When I make an obligation, I fulfill it, right? There you go. Wish I had that attitude. Most of the time, I'm so apathetic about services I receive. Like, I don't expect quality. Well, see, that's different. I don't want to give you guys the impression, as I use the term Karen, right? I don't want to give you guys the impression that I'm some dick that bitches every time he goes out. I'm actually the opposite, right? I always tip, even if the waiter was shitty, because I know what having a shitty day at work is like, right? I'm not that guy. So maybe Karen don't apply, right? But as soon as my peace of mind, my rights, my end of the transaction is not being honored, right? What's due to me because I already paid the money, right? As long as that is not being honored or somebody's trying to usurp part of that, oh, you better watch the fuck out. You better keep your head on a swivel. I'm a pit bull, bro. I told the lady on the phone, that USPS or UPS guy, whatever it was,
It was UPS, not
UPS. When I told that UPS guy's boss on the phone, I said, I told her, I said, this is not a threat, but I said, if this guy, I said, one of these days, it's not going to be my kind, unassuming, quiet wife that answers the door. It's going to be me. And it's not going to be a pretty thing for your driver. So you need to have a talk with him. I understand. And that's just the truth. And guess what? Guess who got reassigned? Guess who's no longer my problem? Now he's some other fucking neighborhood's problem. Or maybe he lost his job. I don't give a fuck. Not my concern. You know what my concern is? I pay for a package and it gets delivered. There you go. Yeah, no, I'm not one of these dudes, dude. I'm not a dude that's going to ever berate somebody at a fucking fast food restaurant because I've been a fast food worker. I'm not the type of dude that's ever going to like no tip somebody because they didn't fill my soda enough or some shit. Because I know what having a hard day is. I know what being busy is. I know what working fucking sick or psychologically fucked up is. I've done it, right? I don't punish people in those positions, right? I did nothing to this driver. He fucked up and wanted me to take the rap for it and wanted to treat me like shit because of it to justify him fucking up. And I'm not the one. Maybe if it was some old grandma that rented this or some meeker person, they would have just took it. But he didn't know me. Now he does. He won't forget me. I guarantee you that because I fucking straight up told him to his face, I'm not signing for shit. Guess who was right? Assertiveness when it comes to your own personal rights. Like I said, I give as good as I get, bro. I am the best neighbor you could ever have, as long as your idea of a neighbor is a person who you're cordial with, a person whose back you'll watch. Like I look out for my neighbors and shit. But my nose is up out their business otherwise. I don't care what they're doing. I'm not calling the cops on them for noises or this or that. I'm not that guy, right? But if you're that guy to me, oh, feel bad for you, son. I ain't a nosy neighbor. I try my best to be a good and unassuming neighbor, right? But, but I know what a family feud is like. I know what a neighborhood feud is like, and you don't want me in one of those. You don't want me, man. I'm an old soldier, okay? Because I stand on business all the time, 100% of the time. I draw a line. I have a boundary, and if you step across that, woe betide the man who sets foot into my garden. That's biblical right there, I think, right? It's like, I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about, right? Not to puff myself up, but the famous Ohio Waffle House incident, where after an episode of The Drunken Peasants, all four of us, stoned out of our minds, went to a Waffle House at like 2 in the morning and had the most insane experience ever. Multiple meltdowns. And I gave one of the fattest tips versus what I spent that I ever gave. I tipped 100%. I doubled the check for those people because despite the drama, bullshit, and all the craziness going on in their lives, man, that bacon and eggs was delicious. So you know what? As far as I'm concerned, as a customer, they held up their end and then some. So I doubled the tip up. You know, whatever. I paid for one thing, so it wasn't like a giant tip, but like in terms of percentage, you had to pay for the show too. Well, yeah, dinner and a show. That's Waffle House. That's what they say down south, at least. Dinner and a show. That's a clever way of saying if you go to Waffle House at night, you're gonna see some shit. During the day, most Waffle Houses just have grandpas, grandmas, working people getting a coffee and a waffle on the way to work or some shit. It's a pretty tame place in the daytime for the most part. There are some Waffle Houses that are a little rowdy. But every Waffle House turns into a haunted mansion at night, bro. You never know what kind of vampiric poltergeist shit you're gonna see when you walk up in that bitch. Just bring a cross or something, some holy water, and just go in, man, because it's dinner theater. It's dinner theater with consequence because you might catch a stray. You never know. You know what I mean? You never know. And they give you guys a bunch of free hush food too. Yeah, I think like the because the one that was really competent and kind of holding the shit together was the chef guy, the guy that was on the grill. And I think he gave us some like extra potatoes and stuff, some extra hash browns, you know what I mean? Sorry about that. He was apologetic when he brought it. You know what I mean? So, but I've been in those types of situations before. I worked customer service for the better part of a decade. Well, better part of 2 decades, to be honest with you. So yeah, I got a lot of experience for that. My spouse would like to hear the story if you don't mind. Oh, the Waffle House story. Okay. We, like I said, we did Drunken Peasants. We just done the show. We wrapped it up, and the guys were like, "Let's go to Waffle House," and we were all high as a kite. And so I think it was might have been Chelsea drove us over to the Waffle House or something. We all just loaded up and went over to the Waffle House. And we get there, and it is so we walk in the door, right? And I'm very sensitive to like when I go into a business, and Amelia will back me on this. When we walk into a business, right? I'm very sensitive to the state of the business, and I look and see how it's staffed and like, is it clean and is it this, that, because that tells you a lot, right? And if that tells you anything, when we walked into that fucking Waffle House, it was that nothing was working, right? Every table, literally every table was piled like this high with dishes, drinks, stuff just like shoved, it was dripping syrup and shit. We walked in, we almost left because there was only one place to sit that didn't already have people sitting at the table. And that was that little bar thing that they have, right? There was a couple of stools there that didn't have shit all over them. So we sat down, and it was one guy working, a black dude it was a chef, and this frantic looking white chick with smeared mascara was the waitress. And she was manic. She came over to us like looking like she'd been just crying all night, right? And she goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Everything, I have everything to do. I'm doing my best. Okay. I'm doing my best. Okay, all right. I'm doing my best. I'm doing okay. So what do you want? What do you want? What do you want?" Right. And I was like, "Oh boy." Oh boy. Right. And then she starts telling a story, right, to each one of us. She's like, "My husband is trying to take custody of my son," or blah, blah, blah. Or I don't think it was that, but it was something like that. It was some relationship drama. "My son is being a bit," I can't even remember. She was just babbling her shit, right? But she's taking down the orders. She's getting them. You know what I mean? And so we're like, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. Could you do the bacon extra crispy? Extra crispy bacon, you got that?" And then fucking child services is saying they're gonna come over and look, and it's like bullshit. They say I'm on crack. It's like I'm not doing crack anyway. Would you like those hash browns smothered and covered? And I was like, "Yeah, smothered, covered, and capped is how I get them. Capped as well. Okay, capped. Yeah. Okay, got it. Okay. And you, what would you like?" It was like, and the whole time, right, I'm looking over at the chef, and he's watching all of this, and he's going like this is the look in his eyes, like every time he looks over his shoulder, it's that. It's like, right. And so after she moves on to somebody else, right, he comes over and he's like, "Guys, I am so fucking sorry. She is crazy. I don't even know, man. I don't know what the fuck her problem is, but I'm just trying to keep it together." We're like, "It's cool. It's cool." He's like, "I got a lot of orders, man, so it might be a minute, but I'm working on you guys, okay? Trust me." And we're like, it's cool." He's like, "All right, man." So he goes back. He's fucking piles of shit, right? She's running around. She's trying to bust tables, but really all she's doing is moving plates from one table to another. Like, there's no method to her madness, and she's whining and crying to every customer, right? Just making a big fuss. Finally, one of the customer goes like, "Yeah, can you check on our order or something?" It's like somebody's sitting in one of the booths. Goes, "Could you check on our order?" She goes, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I know." She goes over to the cook, and she's like, "Where's that order?" Blah, blah, blah. She starts barking at him, right? And he goes, "Shut the fuck up." We were like, "Shut up." He's like, "If you gotta get out of here, and get out of here, I'll take the orders myself. I'm tired of your shit." She was like, right? And she leaves. Like, he yells over to the people. He's like, "I will get your stuff. It's coming, man. I know your order. I'll get it." And they were like, "Thank you." And TJ was like sitting there, and he had drank down his cola. He had got a Diet Pepsi or some shit, and he drank it down to the ice. And he was like, he had told the lady a couple of times, "Hey, I need a soda." "Okay, I'll get it. I'll get it. I'll be right there. Just give me a second. Just give me," right? And so TJ finally got sick of it. And this is the TJ part, right? Where it's like if you've never been around TJ, you've probably never been around a person this audacious, right? But TJ goes, he's sitting right next to me and he goes, fuck this. And he grabs his empty cup with the ice in it and he goes behind the thing and he starts filling up his own cup. And the chef notices somebody's back there with him and looks and he goes, hey, 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 you can't do that, man. You can't do that. And TJ just very like calm as a cucumber, bro. There was no animus in his voice at all. There was no, he just like looked at the guy and he was like, I just did. And he finished filling up his soda and went and sat down. I'd never seen anything like it in my life. I was flabbergasted, bro. My jaw was on the floor. He went back there himself and did the soda himself. That's it. The most transgressive thing I've ever seen somebody do in public. He could have whipped out his wiener and it would have been more in line with social norms, I think, at that point. You know? Anyway, at some point, the chick comes back in, still sobbing. After about an hour sitting there, he brings our food over, and I gotta tell you, dude, it's top notch. It's fucking delicious. It's probably one of the best Waffle House visits that I ever had in terms of like food tastiness, like done to my specifications. Everything tasted great, was hot off the griddle. There was no mistakes. There was a little extra potatoes on there for us, you know what I mean? Like it's about the best one that I ever had. And so I had to give a big tip, bro. And I walked out and I handed the guy the check because he was having to run the register and the fucking grill. And he looked at it and he was like, oh man, thank. I was like, no, thank you. I was like, that was, despite all this shit, the grub was delicious. And he was like, well, thanks, man. I was like, yeah, well, thank you. We walked out. It's like, yeah, there were no rules in there, man. You know, it was Vietnam. That was my very first time at a Waffle House, too. That was my very first time. Yeah, my very first visit to a Waffle House. I'd never been, you know, because I grew up out west. There's no Waffle House out in California, or I mean, there might be one, but they're very few and far between if there are any. I didn't see any. So that was how I was introduced to the chain. And a lot of people would ask, like, did you go back? Hundreds of times. Hundreds of times. You want Waffle House now? Me too, man. Waffle House is a vibe. DFF was born in a Waffle House, yeah. Was born in the, what's that little town we used to live in over there, baby?
Covington.
Covington. Born in the Covington Waffle House in a back booth. We had the conceptual conversation that ultimately named and led to the founding of not only DFF, but our collaboration as a trio. It was the start of our business. Nearest Waffle House to you is Fort Worth. Yeah. The nearest one to me is probably Arizona or some shit. Maybe Utah. I don't know. I'd have to look. I'd have to find out. Ironic that Deep Fat Fried was born in a restaurant without a deep fryer. Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to go inside? You want to go in? Okay. You want to go get comfy on the couch? There. It's all you, bud. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, but wait. But you're supposed to come in too? Okay. Well, I guess if mom comes in, that's okay. It's a compromise on the compromise. It's like Build Back Better. It's a compromise on the compromise on the compromise where you compromised on the final compromise. surely you look around and see all the many benefits. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Wish we had a Waffle House in Cali. Denny's kind of sucks. Yeah, Denny's does suck. But you know what? Denny's is okay, right? You're going to get what you get in a Denny's, right? They can get you some eggs. They can get you some toast, okay? Like, that's really what a Denny's and a Waffle House really, honestly, is for. IHOP, I wouldn't say it's half decent. IHOP is a quarter decent, though. I'll give you a quarter decent. It's like you'll go into IHOP hungry and you'll leave full. That's a quarter decent to me. But there's really like I feel like IHOP is half decent if you're a child and you like a pile of pancakes covered in whipped cream with a clown face on it and berries and shit, right? If that's what you like, it's a half decent place to go, right? But if you just want to get like some bacon and eggs or something, it's a quarter decent. You're probably going to get flabby bacon. Your eggs are probably going to be runny when you ask for them fucking over medium, right? But whatever, you're not going to complain because it's IHOP. What did you expect? Lumberjacks? I've never had it. But I do like a chicken fried steak. Chicken fried steak is based. Yeah, IHOP to me is all about kid stuff, bro. I want like a flapjack with a whipped cream smiley face on it. You know what I mean? That's fucking lame to me. Like I don't care. You know, I want two little Jimmy Dean sausage links and a flapjack the size of a plate with a whipped cream face on it. It's like, okay, well, if that's what you want, you know, you could do worse than IHOP, I guess. I went to a place in Sacramento. I want to ask if it's still there. It was called, I think it's called Bob's Last Resort or something like that. It's a place where like the waitresses are hella mean to you. It's one of those places where the waitresses are like purposefully mean, like they make comments on your weight and your height and like how you're dressed and how cheap you are and like all that shit. Is that place still there? Because that place was cool. It was Dick's Last Resort. Is that what it's called? Yeah, it's like down. It's down by. Well, the one I went to in San Diego was down by the harbor where all the fucking warships are docked and stuff. That place was dope, dude. That place is actually really fun. Yeah, the ladies are like well and I guess the guys too, but like the waiters and waitresses are all very mean to you and antagonistic. Yeah. They talk shit to you constantly and call you out like when you order, they're like I remember when I ordered, I can't even remember what I got, a burger or something. The lady was like, "Okay." She was like, "Honestly, did you see the low fat options? The ones that have this little green sprig, they're actually low fat. I'm just saying, and they're pretty good." And I was like, "No, thank you. I'm gonna take the bacon cheeseburger, please." I thought you would, yeah. It looks like that's what you would order. I'm too autistic to enjoy antagonistic humor. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, even if you knew going in and somebody prepared you, like they're just gonna be mean to you and it's just go along with it. It's funny. You wouldn't be able to enjoy it on like an observational level. They're gonna be mean to everybody, right? And it's a big joke, right? You can be a little bit mean back to them if you want, but you're supposed to just be kind to them. It's kind of a joke, right? They would totally clown on my 400-pound ass. Oh god, yeah. Oh, I'd get fucking. They would be merciless to me. But you know when I would have got it worse, if my fucking if Hagrid Paul had walked in there. Oh my god, can you guys imagine? Because when I went to Dick's, that was when I was working at the school district, so I was clean cut and shit. You know what I mean? As long as I'm not getting the antagonism, I can enjoy it. Yeah, I could see it being tough for you, Nuggy. But what if you just like got, because I've also seen you get tough, Nuggy. So what if you slang some of that shit back? Because I've seen Nuggy sling some shit too. Nuggy's got a tiger inside of her. Yeah, Nuggy could definitely be a waitress there. Nuggy would be a brutal Dick's waitress for sure. Paul, you'd be perfect working at a Dick's. I probably would be, yeah. Might be my calling. It might be, hey, it's a fallback for me. You know what I mean? You know, if this podcast thing goes belly up, I'll go work at Dick's Last Resort. You know what I mean? I'll find one. I'll make them hire me. They have to know that I'd be the best. And I'd make a bundle. Oh, I'd get tipped. I just get a bunch of short guy comments. They're pretty creative. They did fat jokes on me, but they did some stuff. They lifted some stuff. You know what I mean? You might be shocked. They're a little more creative than just your most fucking obvious flaw or whatever the fuck, you know. They'll hit on it. You'll definitely get some short jokes. But it'll be creative short jokes, right? Like they'll take everybody else's order and start to walk away and make you go like, "Wait." And then they'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you down there, little fella. What would you like? A corn dog, maybe?" You know what I mean? Can you be mean back? As long as you're not taking it serious, as long as you're not like, "I'll fucking kick your ass, motherfucker." Yeah, they hand you a kids menu or something. Yeah. I'd love it. That'd be a fun job. It'd be a pain in the ass, but we've got chicken tenders this time. You like chicken tenders with ketchup? You're great at insults. I would pay to see you in that job. I'd be pretty good at it. Maybe I should just open a place. Maybe I should just open an insult diner. And I'll be the head waiter at my own place. And Amelia, because she's nice, she can do the back end stuff. She can do the financials and the this, that, and the other thing, and I'll do the waiting. You know, TJ can be my chef. Put TJ's chef business to work. Yeah, Paul's Salt Shack. Or name it something like, "Do not come to this restaurant." That would be post ironic, and I think a lot of people would do it. This could be huge. Man, I'm a $1 billion idea guy, bro. Do I even want to share this? You call it the customer is always wrong. Sometimes I blow my own mind. Sometimes I blow my own mind. Anyway, I gotta go because my phone's gonna die. It's been a fun one. See you guys next time.